Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dorothy here from the CCMA, and you're very welcome to this afternoon's webinar, which I think we're going to have great fun with, which is sponsored by ServisBOT, and we're delighted to welcome Cathal McGlynn from ServisBOT, who's joining us from the United States, from Boston. We were just checking the time with him there, so it's 9 a.m. in Boston, and obviously, as always, by Nee from WSI, who's supporting this webinar. So we're going to give a couple of minutes, as we always do, for people just to log in. But what we're going to be doing today is how to build a digital assistant for onboarding in 45 minutes. And I think we're actually going to do it in less than 45 minutes. So so you can time us, or you can time Cathal if you want. I have the easy job today. I'm just doing the introduction. So we've run a number of these webinars and events prior to going online with our events with Cathal and the team, and we've always got a really good response, and I know there's huge interest in this technology, and Cathal is just going to show how easy and user-friendly it is to use. And just to tell you a little bit about Cathal before we start, he's a serial entrepreneur and engineer with a passion for emerging technologies that enable businesses to solve customer problems and achieve greater business efficiency. He founded ServisBOT in 2016 with his brother Ray and two other avid technologists, with a vision to help enterprises leverage AI to automate customer and/or employee interactions. And I know in preparing for today, we've spoken about onboarding, you know, in terms of not just employee onboarding, but obviously customer onboarding. And that's some of the aspects of this in terms of the flexibility of this technology that Cathal will share with us this afternoon. We do want to make it as interactive as possible. So, you know, as always, there's a little box to the right-hand side where you can raise questions or put comments. So as Cathal goes through the presentation, if you have any particular questions or any suggestions you want to make into how he can do the bot, please feel free to share them, and I'll put them to Cathal as he goes along. But I'm going to hand over to him now because he's all the hard work to do this afternoon. So Cathal, lovely to see you, and I'm going to hand over to you, and I'll be in the background with any questions that come through. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dorothy. As always, thanks for the invite to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Cathal. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sort of just conversational AI and what it is, and really it's an automation story. So we'll just give you a brief overview of that. But the meat of the workshop is just going to be working on a digital onboarding bot. And onboarding is one of those interesting use cases that, because of sort of this pandemic and COVID, we've seen a lot of interest from a variety of companies, including banks and insurance companies. Particularly where you've had to distribute your centralized sort of service operations, your centralized back office operations. They're now all gone, they're at home. So it's, you know, raised new challenges in terms of how to collect information, centralize things, send in documents from customers and employees. So we're going to talk about that and why it's sort of relevant today. We'll look at a case study from one of our customers who, you know, within weeks of deploying this had phenomenal results in terms of agent productivity and ROI. And then I'll help you a little bit about just defining, as you think about this. We want to leave you with some ideas about how you might think about this for your organization. But I'll leave the bulk of it then for the live demo, where we'll build something together, right? So that's kind of what the agenda is. Conversational AI itself is just about using natural language as an interface. It's sort of one of the big trends over the last few years. We've seen it everywhere, from the introduction of sort of chatbots and websites all over the place, to the use of sort of texting on WhatsApp and voice devices like Alexa to engage with brands and get service from them, right? We think about it as an automation story, and we think about it as automating engagement across the entire life cycle of either customers or employees, from acquisition to operation support, retention. We've identified areas right along the value chain that you can actually automate things using natural language. The key thing that we look for is it has to involve a customer. So it's something that involves a customer where they have a question or it's not straightforward in terms of what their intent is. You've got to try and understand and figure out what it is that they're looking for. And we have a range of these cute little sort of bot use cases. From this one is actually a conversion case from converting online quotes to actual sales. And we've had significant results with the AA in Ireland with that. This is our onboarding bot. We work with a number of the banks and insurance companies in this onboarding area. We've operations bots, we have service bots, tech support bots, FAQ bots, and again, retention and renewals bots. So there was all sorts of areas that you can actually automate using natural language as an interface. So just to focus on sort of customer and employee onboarding for the moment, we first came across this use case a couple of years ago when we discovered that one of the problems with the shift away from phone and voice towards text is that it means for outbound contact centers, outbound call centers trying to reach customers, it's very, very difficult to reach your customers today, because if people aren't answering the phones, and I'm not answering my phone, if I don't know a number on my device, I'm not going to answer it. And that's a trend we're seeing right across the world. So people aren't answering their phones. So how do you then, as a brand or as a service provider, how do you reach your customers in an outbound manner to do things like collect information, onboard them and so on? And so we came across this onboarding use case where the contact center was trying to reach them, and we said, let's move it away from voice trying to do outbound dialing, and actually let's send them a link to a bot, an interactive bot. And as we all know, the open rate for SMS and messages is actually very, very high, above 95%. So they responded much better to that. And so we sent them a link with, we sent them an SMS with a link to the bot. They opened up the bot, and then the bot said, hey, I'm here to do whatever. I'm here to onboard you. I'm here to collect information from you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to do cash collections, right? And so we began to see phenomenal results from just engaging with people at the time that they wanted or could engage in a channel they wanted. We saw phenomenal results in terms of high engagement rates. And actually, within weeks of deploying this first use case, the company got tremendous productivity results, eliminated a mail vendor in between, and we'll look at that in a moment. So this applies to both employee onboarding as well as customer onboarding, right? And I'm going to expand it beyond onboarding to just getting stuff done, sort of chasing customers for documents. In the States, for example, if you sign up for an insurance company and you say, you're an honor student in college or in school, you get a 5% discount, but you have to prove it, which means they've got to come after you and get your certificate for your grades to show you that you deserve this 5%. That's an example of sort of an outbound needing to collect some documents that ordinarily is difficult when you have to post it in, but has become even more difficult in COVID because people just aren't in those shared services centers. The same with the banks and anti-money laundering, suspicious transactions. They have to go outbound and say, hey, Cathal, we saw something in your account. We need some relevant information from you. Can you get us this information? And again, it's another use case for it. Celent is a big research company, like a Gartner, but focused on the insurance company. And what they found is that, very positive. If clients have a really good digital onboarding experience, they're more likely to actually move towards self-service, right? So it's a way of setting expectations with your customers. Like some of the neo-banks and neo-insurance companies, when you get a really good experience of onboarding and signing up, you're happy to use their service and do self-service. And so it's a great way to get customers used to self-service. All right, here's our first poll. So I think Niamh's going to put up the first poll. And what we want to know is, we just want to know, is digitizing either customer or employee stuff a priority for you and your company? So are you thinking customer onboarding, employee onboarding, both? It's not a priority. So maybe just to get a sense at the start how important it is for you. So if you wouldn't mind just giving that poll, selecting what it is, and then we'll come back at the end and we'll show you the results, and we'll look at what area in particular of the onboarding process is going to be interesting. All right, so.
Great, so that's live at the moment, Cathal, so we're just going to give people another 20 seconds or so.
All right, so if you wouldn't mind just doing that. Again, we just want to see, is this something that you've discussed internally or you think it might be useful internally? Is it more on the customer side? Do you need to collect documents from employees or customers? Do you have that outbound engagement from an outbound contact center where you need to reach customers or employees at times and make stuff happen? Is this something that for you that might be interesting to automate some of this, right? And again, may not be for everybody, but you'll certainly get a sense of the platform once we build something.
Great,
All
I'm
right.
just going to close that now.
Okay.
And you'll see the result at the end, Cathal, is that?
Yeah, we'll give the results at the end. We'll come back and look.
Okay,
Okay, so let's move on to sort of the onboarding and the opening. There's a number of things the value points that we see along the way. And these are some of the steps. Now, the principal advantage of this sort of bot onboarding is that we send the bot out proactively to the customer onto their device, right? So we're going to send them an SMS or text onto their phone. And when they open up, they've now got a virtual assistant on their device, which is fully integrated with camera, with location, with all the phone features. So we're not asking them to find a scanner or take a picture or upload it here. We're actually going to make it easy for them to do everything on their mobile device. And that's the first thing, that the first benefit they have is we're reaching out to them and making it really easy for them. One of the biggest benefits that we see is the chasing the customers, is that if the customer is not ready to do something in that moment when you reach them, such as an outbound phone call, or in this case, the bot, it's all right to just leave it there because you can come back to it at any point in time. The bot is always there, it's always waiting. So this idea of time wasted by contacting the customer and they don't have the information, or please get back to me at a different time, that is all eliminated in the whole chasing the customer. And we stress this to companies, that this is actually where the biggest value is, not necessarily the digital uploading itself, but the chasing people is where you save a lot of effort for your employees, right? So once you chase them and you get them, you make it easy for them to upload because they're doing it on their device with the camera. Then we do the various checks, because again, so many times that they send documents in and it's a wrong document, or for example, in your bank, you've got to send in a utility bill, but it has to be within the last 3 months. And if it's in the 4th month, they got to send it back. And so just verifying, checking that the document is correct, verifying that it is you, it is the correct document, it is the right date, processing it, taking information out, and then just re-engaging if you have to get back to the customer because there's an error or something. So these are all sort of areas along the value chain. Not every one of them has to be there all the time, but these are the value points that we see that really help lend to the business case, okay? Then again, it's always on, so it's always there, it's always available 24/7, so it suits people when they want to engage. It's secure, and like all of our bots, we believe in what we call automation first, not automation only, which means we believe that you should always allow a person to get to a human, right? Always allow an escalation to an agent to assist, right? So this is the sort of the customer that we had. It was an insurance company. They had to do a lot of collecting documents, proof of ID, no claims bonuses, NCT certs, things like that. Excuse me. And so they were doing outbound calls. It was very difficult to get through. They implemented the bot, and almost immediately they saw huge engagement rates across the board by the customers. They decreased the time taken to onboard the customer, and therefore the time to revenue by something like from 5 weeks down to 5 days, something dramatic. They actually eliminated a print vendor. They had 2 print vendors sending out letters to say, hey, Carl, we need this document from you. Please copy it and send in to this address. They eliminated a print vendor because they no longer needed to send out all these letters. So huge productivity improvements, eliminating costs along the way. And of course, think about the people involved in that outbound call center. They're now not frustrated trying to reach somebody and spend most of their day outbound calling when nobody's answering, right? So it leaves their people to do much more value-adding and interesting tasks, right? So big success in this. All right, next poll, if you wouldn't mind, Niamh, putting up the poll. As you think about that, where do you think, if you think this is important for you, where do you think the value is? Because we look at this, chasing the people for documents or information. Yeah, and again, as it relates to you and your company, is it the chasing for documents? Is it the capturing and collecting them? Is it the validating them? Is it presenting other information to users? Or is it the getting that information and putting it into a back-end system, do you think is of value? So is there 1, 2, or more of them that you think could be of value? Because I think that's where, we'll try and, talk about during the demo, how to make this really valuable, right? So we'll give it another few seconds. Please select if you think it's the chasing people is the value, capturing and collecting the information, the validation, presenting other information to users, other questions they may have when they get this, or is it the extraction of the information and avoiding people having to type this information into a back-end system, such as the driver's license, their date of birth, their NCT certs, and so on and so forth, right? Or it could be all of them, right? It will depend on the industry. All right, maybe a few more seconds to finish this poll.
Yeah,
and again,
more and then I'll close.
Okay. All right, here we go. All right, I'm back. Defining a strategy, I think we might come back to this if we have a moment at the end. It's really about understanding goals and use cases. Is there value? And the reason I did that second poll is that it's important to understand what you want out of the business use case and where the value is that you're capturing. That's the real trick to getting automation going with AI in your organization, is understanding the value points so you can make a business case to your boss, right? All right, I'm going to leave it there and that, and we're going to actually move over and do the demo, right? So this is our portal. So it's a complete SaaS offering. You can see here's my army of bots, all these little bots in here, all these cute guys. Each one of these is a different use case. And we're actually going to build a bot together, right, to do sort of an onboarding. We're going to build a fairly straightforward bot. First thing we might do is we might make sure that our styling is correct. And by styling, I mean our messenger. So you see I've put in the CCMA brand in here. I put in a background. Maybe we don't need the background. Maybe it's a bit dark. If we want to, we could take out the background. And you see I can go to, you know, a gray background, or I can upload another background. Maybe we'll just leave it like this. So I'll save my bot, and this is what it looks like. But again, we can style it and brand it to what you want, to your brand. Okay, so now that I've got my brand ready, we're going to create a bot, and we're going to create a bot in less than 30 seconds. We're going to create a simple, we build from templates. So we have all these different templates, different types of bots based on different types of AI, based on different types of products. We're going to build a fairly straightforward, what we call a classic flow bot. And I'm going to build it. I'm going to choose my little icon. Everybody like my little Brexit icon here. Everybody sees the Irish flag underneath. We're going to go CC. We're going to call it CCMA. CC, right? We call our bot for CCMA, all right? We're going to give it a hello. And literally, when I click create, it's going to create a bot in less than 30 seconds. What do I mean by it's created a bot? Well, what I mean is it's created a blueprint that is wired up end to end, that has some features in it we're going to go in and edit in a moment, but it's given me the whole framework for a bot that I can just put on a web page with this code here, these couple of lines of code. So it's given me the framework to actually go and do something and make it. I'm going to put this into an onboarding bot, but the wiring, the plumbing is done. There's no tech stuff to do. The tech stuff has all been done in that 30 seconds that we started it. Okay, so let's go in and see what we're going to create. So I'm going to edit this bot, and we're going to turn it into an onboarding bot. So this is my bot. It's got one worker, and they're just things we can put multiple workers in here. And we have this nice drag and drop sort of designer here that we're going to work with, right? I'm actually going to get rid of all this because this is what's created from a template. We're going to create it together. I did a little cheat in that I have these sort of nodes that I'm going to use that I just wanted to bring in to make it easy to get going. But I'm going to show you how to do it together, right? So the first thing, it gets kicked off with our start node. And the first thing we want to do is we want to welcome somebody, you know, and we want to welcome to explain what we are. So we set the expectation. Welcome to CCMA. I am your onboarding bot. Okay, maybe we ask them their name. Can I have your name? So it's always good to set an expectation as to what you want. And again, this is just a dialogue we're sending out. I can make it last a certain amount of time if I want. I can use this. We're just going to ask them their name. Is going to be the first thing that we actually do. And what we need to do now that we've asked them their name, we need to let them put in their name. And you'll see I have these little drag and drop. All I have to do is drag this onto the canvas and wire it up. And I'm now giving them a chance to input their name, okay? So I've asked them their name and let them put in their name. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I actually want to remember their name. And this is just a little bit of JavaScript. This is something that, you know, business analysts could use. I'm actually just going to take the input, which is what we call the payload, and I'm going to call it username, so that when I talk to them later, I can just use the variable username and it will give me their username. It'll give me their name. So I remember them during the process. And so when I want to do then hi, I say hi, payload username, and it will give me the name that they've put in. I'd like to get some details for an onboarding process. So again, we want to make this you know, as personal as possible, and we do that. And we can do the same for Again, we might ask them for their surname, or we can test to see if they've given both. What is your surname? All right. We can actually look up things, and again, if I've given them a chance to give me their surname, then I want to just let them input it. Maybe then I want their phone number, which is always good. And again, this is a great way to collect information about your customers, right, and validate it, right? So can I have your phone number, please? And maybe we say with area code, because sometimes people don't, right? Again, maybe I'll let that last 1.5 seconds. We let them put it in. Now, here's the thing that we can do, and we have these nodes called function nodes. I can actually test that the number is correct. So I have this, again, this little JavaScript, and we have snippets of this all over the place. I can actually let them test their code to make sure it is a phone number and it is 8 or 9 digits and they have a plus or not a plus. We can test that. So I'm going to test to make sure that the number is correct. And if it's not correct, I'm going to say, please use the area code and try again. I'm sending them back over to do it. So I can actually test the information as it's coming in to make sure that it's the right thing to do, right? Maybe after that, we want their email. So the output port here is if it's successful. Then maybe we ask them for your email. What is your email address? All right, and now I'm going to do the same thing. I want to test to make sure they give me a valid email. So I can test a valid email. If not, actually, I need them to drop an input node in. I always forget this, to let them give me their email. And if it's not, again, I can say invalid format, try again. Okay, so I can test to make sure I'm getting correct input on the email side, right? All right, so after email, we're now going to ask them for a copy of their driver's license. We're going to say that we have their details, we need their driver's license, okay? So let's go to, maybe we say thank you, right? Because we're pleasant, right? Thank you. Now I need some documents from you, right? Okay. And again, you can string a number of these nodes together. First, I need a copy of your driver's license. All right. Again, tell them what to do, communicate is always good. And here is what we call a markup node. And here you'll see I've dropped what we call our timeline, this couple of little lines in here that allows them to upload a picture. And when this goes on their device, it's actually going to engage the camera automatically, right? So it says, please upload a copy of your driver's license. And again, we have different formats in here. We can do things like, I can drop calendars in here, buttons, I can drop lists, I can do all sorts of things in here. We're going to just let them add a driver's license, okay? So we let them add a driver's license. Now we're going to ask them for a passport. So they've given me their driver's license. Now I need a copy of your passport. All right, I'm going to drop the passport node in here. All right, and now I'm going to ask them I'm going to drop a calendar. So I want to see if they have a start date. Let's assume there could be an employee. I'm just going to wire up. You would wire different paths to deal with different ways in which you test this out, but I'm just going to do you have a start date? All right. So if they have a start date, maybe I give them a little menu that says yes or no. So, whoops, let me do a yes or no here. And we're just going to give them a yes option and a no option. Almost done. Wire that up. And for both of them, again, if they say yes, we're going to drop a calendar. I'm just going to drop this calendar in. You see this calendar item we drop in. When they come back from the calendar, let's just confirm that it is the right input. So let me see the calendar. We need an input node. Again, this is just our particular process, and we're going to confirm them. You can see here, I'm going to actually replay back what they selected, make sure they're the right one. After that, we're going to drop a video. Maybe we want them to watch a video on employee joining, so please view this video. All right, so we're going to wire up a video. When they're done with the video, they'll tell me that they're ready to continue. Continue. And you'll see this sort of come together now in a flow. What else did I have? We might need them to read a document and review terms and conditions. And so we can drop in documents here. I'm just going to have them review a privacy policy. So again, we can make them move into that. We'll have them review a privacy policy. I won't ask them for a signature. We could. Maybe we'll just finish with that and just go to thanks. All done. Perhaps you could leave some feedback for us. All right. And so we're going to have them do some feedback. And we have this node here where we can provide the star rating. So we'll have them give us a star rating. And again, how I would measure this is I would basically put a goal in for each of them to say how many give us. We automatically collect data here. So this is a 1 star. And you could have different treatment paths for different things, right? 2 star. And depending on what they select, we'll measure their stars. I'm just going to put one for 5 stars. 5 star. And so we'd collect the data on them, and then we'd say, thank you, and just finish, right? And I'll wire up these to finish, and then we're all done with our bot, okay? Let's do a quick deploy. Make sure we're good. Thanks. Let us know if you need any help, right? Right, and maybe I give them then some helpful information here that I can go there too, okay? Click deploy, and literally we built our bot, okay? So let's have a look and see what our bot does now. Took a little longer than I thought, so let's reset it, and let's look at our bot, and our bot starts with, hi, welcome, can I have your name? So my name is Cahill, right? So now it's executing the flow. Hi, Cahill, I need some details. What's my surname? My surname is McLoyne. I can have a phone number. And again, if I give the wrong phone number, 12345, it's going to tell me that it's the wrong format. Use area code, so I'll give them 339-221-0809, right? So again, same thing, it's testing the information. Cahill@gmail is not my email address, and it knows that. And let's go Cahill@ServisBOT.com. It was just really testing to make sure that there was a proper extension on it, and it will accept the email. And now it wants my documents, so it needs a driver's license from me. So let's give them my Massachusetts driver's license, and you'll see this again. If this is on the phone, it's going to interact with the phone, it's going to engage the camera, and it's capturing that information. Now, this is the interesting part. Not only can we capture information, but we can actually test that information. So now it wants to copy my passport. So let me give it an expired passport picture. And lo and behold, it has read the passport, and it has decided that the passport is expired. So not only can we collect documents, we can validate those documents to make sure that they're actually the correct documents. And if I give it a valid passport picture and submit, it will let me go through, right? So you can see again, testing the documents as well. Do I have a start date? Yes, I have a start date. Drops a calendar in, I can pick my date in the calendar, and again, I'll pick a random date, and it'll validate that I have the right date. So again, we can check that. We can do videos. Maybe it wants me to review employee videos. So again, we can do that. And again, there's all sorts of rich media I can include here. This was the one they wanted me to read terms and conditions, such a privacy policy. So this was embedded here. We can embed documents and make sure that they actually do what it is that they need to do, right? And I think that was it. I'm not sure if I obviously had a little error in wiring my bot because it won't go to the next one. I missed that one. All right, and it would have gone to the rating. Let me just actually, rather than go through it all again, I'll just rewire this one to read the document, deploy, and you can see how easy it is to make changes. If I made an error, I can reset my bot, test it very quickly, make sure that part of it is working, check out our bots. And so now I've read the policy, and again, it won't move on until it sees I have. Thanks, all done. Leave the feedback, leave the 5-star rating, and thanks, and here's some things to lead us in there. And that was our bot. So you can see, very easy to build, very easy to change, very easy to test. And as I say, when we put this bot on a phone, it will engage the camera and location and all the other features that it is to do it, right?
Carl, a question in, if I can put it to you from Susan. Is the documentation validation something that can be programmed, e.g. driver license is standard, but say for other documents like birth certs, etc.?
Yes, that's a great question. So if you have sort of documents that we don't have a model for, we need the training data to train, but we can train and build that model in a matter of days. We just need some sample data, and we'll build it to recognize that document and be able to extract that information. Particularly standard documents that you see, it's the same format again and again, very, very easy to do, as long as the format is the same. Where it gets difficult is if the format, if it's a handwritten letter, you know, that differs from one person and one firm to another, it's hard to standardize because it needs training data, but very easy to train new documents on it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything else?
No, not for the moment. So I don't know if you want, I'm conscious of time. I know you are just, you want to.
Yeah, so maybe we look at the poll results and then,
yes.
So if we have the poll results, Neil, we'll be interested to see those. So the first one was, is it priority? So 43% for customer onboarding, 29% for employee. So everybody's looking at this for customer and employee onboarding. Excellent. Okay. Very interesting to see that, you know, it is something of interest, either customer or employee. And again, the use cases are the same, whether it's we're collecting information. So let's see the second poll, which was where they thought the value was. So transferring the information to the back end, well, that's interesting, right? Because that's a typical sort of RPA process that works. Chasing people, 10%, 20% capturing, collecting the documents, 10% validating, and 20% other information. So yeah, interesting that you think it's the bulk of it is actually taking the information out and putting it into the back end, right? Not unusual, because certainly a lot of the automation has started in the back office with things like RPA. We think though that there's a huge amount of value if you collect it from the customer directly. You can reduce errors, increase one and dones at that point, right?
And Carl, one other question from Mark. Is it possible to extract the answers people give into Excel?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So extracting the information, validating and extracting it, and then putting it where you want it, whether it's Excel or it's directly into a back-end system, is the easy part, right? If you don't have APIs, then obviously Excel as an intermediary step. But if you have APIs to your back end, obviously putting it in there is the best. So for those of you, so the last poll, let us know if you're interested by virtue of the poll, if you'd like this link to be sent to you. You can play around with the bot that we just built. You can put it on your phone and see it. And our offer to you today is if you're interested, we will build a complimentary workshop with you and your team. We'll build a bot for you and your company, just like this. It'll take an hour, 2 hours max, where you can define it and refine it and brand it, and then you can bring it to your company and you can show it off and maybe, you know, get them to innovate in terms of look at this idea. But we'll build it for free. We'll do the workshop for free. We'll build a bot for free and we'll give it to you, and you can go and test and verify and show it around and show what a fantastic digital champion you are in your organization. So, and
Carl, one more question from Christiane, and apologies, Christiane, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Can you embed existing multimedia content like e-learning?
You can, yeah. You can embed multimedia, you can embed forms, you can link it to your existing digital assets on your website. So one of the things we do for Bank of Ireland payments, if you can see my screen, you can still see. So this is one of our clients. This is public information, so obviously I'm not giving away anything. This is their site, and you'll see this is the bot here. Need help, and you'll see if they want to do something interesting here. Is a bank account details change. Whoops, sorry, twice. And you'll see what they're going to do is they're actually we're going to go to their form. So we're going to embed their form in the bot so that they're going straight to their back-end system. So we can embed your digital assets, your forms, your systems within the bot to make it easy. So that's actually their system. They obviously is capturing bank information. They want to make sure it's secure, that it doesn't go anywhere. And so it's going directly into the Bank of Ireland systems. Here at this point, it's not actually traversing our system. We can embed your content, your LMS systems, your CMS, your digital assets, make it really easy for you to do. Any other questions?
No, that's all the questions we have. So I'm conscious of time. You made that look way too easy, Cathal. It looks so easy.
It took a bit longer than I thought, but when I talk, I should have started sooner. But yeah, no, it's easy enough to do, and we'd be more than happy to help anybody who wants to explore this a little further, show you what it can do. Like that was in the space of what, 15, 20 minutes we built that bot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And just to say one last question, I mean, if somebody wants to take you up on your very generous offer, should they be starting with a very simple process? Should it be something that they're getting a lot of transactions or queries on or customer contacts on? Keep it simple and start and just see the impact and then have a business case to prove this actually works.
You just teeing me up here, Dorothy, for that one. That's actually what I wanted to talk about, the bot strategy, which is have a clear understanding. What's your goal? What's the value you expect from it? What's the volume of transactions you want to put through it? Build your ROI on the basis of the volume and the value, and then evaluate what's your tech readiness. Do I need a lot of back-end tech stuff, or can I do it by just emailing? Can I do it in a low-tech environment? Because low tech is really good to start because you don't need a lot of IT resources to get it going and improving it. And so we advise people to, if you have APIs, brilliant, but you don't need them. You can collect documents and package them up and just email them to somebody, and you've already saved them a lot of time chasing, validating. You've prepared those documents. So this is a good checklist to see how to look at it, what's your goals, what's the volume, build your business case, and try something that's low tech to get started with.
Brilliant, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Just to say, a recording of the webinar and obviously a copy of Cahall's presentation will be available on the members events page. It normally takes just a day or two to get the recording sorted and up. But obviously in the meantime, anybody that wants to jump on straight away and avail of the offer, you see all of the details there, and either you can contact Cahal through LinkedIn or just drop me an email and I can
just Cahal@ServisBOT.com is fine, right? They'll get me to Cahal@ServisBOT.com.
Perfect. And we just got a great stuff from Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you to everybody for participating. I know we ran a little bit over, but I think it was absolutely worth it. And thanks so much to Cathal, to Niamh, and to Kristen, who I know is in the background there, who set this all up from the US. So really delighted to see you all, and certainly do get in touch, anybody that's interested in that free workshop. We'd be delighted to facilitate that and introduce you to Cathal. Great. So
thanks, Dorothy. Thanks, Dave. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.